I see you sitting in the dark, clutching your phone, waiting for a message from your grown child that never comes. At 60 years old, the agonizing silence makes you wonder where you failed. I am sitting right beside you, watching those secret tears fall. I know the unbearable weight of the decades you have carried this quiet, heavy guilt. Stay here with me for just a moment, and I will give you absolute relief. If my words brought a quiet comfort to your weary soul today, I invite you to subscribe to this channel. I see you sitting there, and I want you to know that I have been watching you long before you pressed play on this message. I see the way you adjust your glasses, the way you look at the dust dancing in the shafts of light in your living room, and the way your heart sometimes feels as heavy as the house around you. You have spent 60, 70, perhaps 80 years building, giving, and pouring yourself out like a drink offering for everyone else. You raised the children, you held the jobs, you weathered the storms of health and economy, and you marched through the decades with a strength that the world often took for granted. But I never took it for granted. I was there in every midnight hour when you paced the floor worrying about a child's future. I was there when you felt the first sharp sting of a loss that changed your world forever. I am here now, in this very moment, and I want you to breathe. Just breathe. You don't have to perform for me. You don't have to be the strong one anymore. I see the invisible exhaustion that lives in your bones, the kind of tired that a night's sleep can't fix. It is the weariness of a soul that has carried the weight of the world for too long. I want to validate every silent tear you've shed in the kitchen while the oven was on, hiding your grief so you wouldn't burden your family. I know the sting of feeling like a relic in a world that seems to have moved on to faster, shinier things. You feel as though your voice has become a whisper that no one hears, or that your wisdom is an old book gathering dust on a shelf. But hear me clearly. Your pain is not a sign of weakness, and your age is not a countdown to insignificance. It is the signature of a life lived with intensity. I see the scars on your heart, the ones from words that were never said, and the ones from goodbyes that came too soon. I know the specific ache of looking at an empty chair or a silent phone. I am not a distant God who looks down with a cold eye. I am the friend who sits on the edge of your bed. I am the one who catches every drop of your sorrow in my own hands. You have carried this fardeau, this heavy burden of trying to keep it all together for so long that you've forgotten what it feels like to be carried yourself. You feel guilty for being sad, guilty for being tired, or guilty for simply being old. Let me take that guilt from you right now. There is no expiration date on my compassion. You are not past your prime in my kingdom. You are entering the season where my grace can finally do its deepest work, because you are finally ready to let go of the illusion of being in control. Lean your head back. Let the tension leave your shoulders. I am here. I am real, and I love you with a love that has no end. I have seen it all, and I am still here, reaching for your hand. Let us talk about how you arrived at this place of quiet exhaustion. It is a strange thing, is it not? How quickly the decades slip through our fingers. It feels like only a brief moment ago you were young, full of endless energy, running through the busy seasons of your life. You were building a home, raising a family, striving to make ends meet, and navigating a world that demanded your constant attention. In the rush of all those yesterdays, you did what you had to do to survive. When disappointments came, when people let you down, or when the finances were tight, you learned to brace yourself. You built invisible walls around your heart to protect yourself from the harsh winds of reality. You thought you were simply being strong, responsible, and resilient. But over the years, those walls of self-reliance slowly turned into a fortress of isolation. The peace you once knew did not vanish overnight. It was slowly stolen away by 1,000 little worries and compromises. The world taught you that your worth was tied to your productivity, to your ability to provide, and to your capacity to keep everything under control. As you grew older and the culture shifted so rapidly around you, that control began to slip. You watched the world become louder, angrier, and more confusing. You watched your children grow up and face their own struggles, and a deep, silent anxiety began to nest in your chest. The pride that once kept you standing tall now whispers that you are obsolete, that your best days are behind you, and that you must simply endure the remainder of your time in the shadows. This is the anatomy of the heavy burden you carry. It is the accumulated weight of unspoken regrets, the guilt over parenting mistakes from 30 years ago, and the lingering sting of old grievances that you never quite knew how to lay to rest. I see how that weight has pulled your shoulders down and clouded your mind with a fog of quiet despair. But I want to remind you of a promise I made a long time ago, a promise recorded in the Gospel of John. I told my dearest friends, on a night when their hearts were breaking with fear of the unknown, that I was leaving them a very specific gift. I said to them, and I say to you now, peace I leave with you, my peace I give you. I do not give to you as the world gives. Do not let your hearts be troubled, and do not be afraid. I spoke those words not just for the disciples in that upper room, but for you, sitting right there in your home today. The world gave you a temporary peace based on your health, your bank account, and your youthful vigor. But that is not the peace I offer. You lost your way when you began to believe that you had to sustain yourself entirely on your own strength. You forgot that I am the vine and you are the branches, and that your only job was to rest in me, not to carry the entire weight of your family's history on your back. The walls you built to keep out the pain have also kept out my light, and it is time to gently let those walls crumble. You do not have to defend yourself anymore. I want to show you a completely different way to look at the time you have left, a perspective that changes absolutely everything. The world around you measures your life by a ticking clock, by what you can still physically build, or by how fast you can keep up with the changing trends. But my kingdom does not operate on the world's frantic timeline. In my eyes, there is no such thing as being too late, and there is certainly no such thing as being past your usefulness. This is the moment where we turn away from the cold shadows of your past and step together into the warm, inviting light of my grace. I am offering you a divine exchange today, right where you are sitting. I want you to hand over the heavy, worn-out bags of regret, the deep guilt of things you wish you had done differently with your children, and the painful, silent feeling that you have somehow missed your mark. In return, I am giving you a profound, unshakable peace that settles deep into your weary bones. You might be sitting there thinking that the most important chapters of your story are already written and that the ink is completely dry, leaving no room for a beautiful ending. But I am the author of your life, and I specialize in glorious, redemptive final chapters. The grace I have for you right now is not a leftover portion or an afterthought. It is a fresh, overflowing cup poured out specifically for the quiet season you are in today. Think of the sunset outside your window. It is often the most breathtaking part of the entire day, painting the sky with brilliant colors that the busy afternoon never gets to see. Your life right now is that sunset. The frantic rushing is over, and now is the exact time for a deep, radiant beauty to emerge from your spirit. You do not need to perform grand miracles or change the whole world to be infinitely valuable to me. Your simple presence, your hard-earned wisdom, and your capacity to love deeply are treasures that this broken, hurting world desperately needs. I am not asking you to climb steep mountains anymore, or to prove your worth to anyone. I am simply inviting you to sit with me on the porch of your life. I want to be your everlasting friend, the one who listens to your longest stories without ever checking the time, the one who knows the exact meaning behind every heavy sigh. When you feel the familiar ache of uselessness creeping in, I want you to remember that your highest calling was always simply to be loved by me and to reflect that gentle love back to others. The time you have left is entirely sufficient for this beautiful, eternal purpose. My grace wipes the slate completely clean. Every mistake you made as a young parent, every financial blunder that kept you awake, every harsh word spoken in anger decades ago, they are all entirely washed away in the vast ocean of my mercy. You do not have to carry them into tomorrow. You are forgiven, you are cherished, and you are entirely free. Let the realization of this magnificent grace wash over you like a gentle, healing rain, softening the dry soil of your heart. I am making all things new, starting with the way you see your own reflection. You are my precious masterpiece, refined by the fires of a long life, and I am so incredibly proud of you. Now that we have lifted the heavy veil of the past, I want to give you a gentle and practical path for the days ahead. You do not need to embark on a complicated journey to find the peace I have promised you. It begins right here, in the quietness of your living room, with a few simple steps we will take together. The first step is perhaps the most difficult, yet the most deeply liberating. I know there are nights when you lie awake, crying in secret for your grown children. You worry endlessly about the paths they have taken, the struggles they face, and the faith they might have lost along the way. You feel responsible, wishing you could fix their complicated lives or protect them from the harshness of the world, just as you did when they were small. Today I am asking you to gently take them out of your weary hands and place them safely into mine. Entrust your children to me. You have done your part. You have loved them fiercely, and now it is my turn to pursue their wandering hearts with a relentless grace that reaches places you simply cannot go. Whenever anxiety for them grips your chest, take a deep breath, whisper their names to me, and declare that you are leaving them entirely in my care. I love them even more deeply than you do, and my timing for their lives is perfect. The second step is to change the way you spend your quiet moments. Instead of letting the silence of the house become a canvas for loneliness, deliberately invite me into it. Make me your daily companion on the porch, at the kitchen table, or beside your favorite armchair. Speak to me out loud, just as you would to a lifelong friend sitting right across from you, sharing a cup of coffee. Tell me about your aches, your fondest memories, your small daily joys, and your lingering fears. You do not need formal religious prayers or eloquent words to reach my heart. A simple sigh, a falling tear, or a quiet good morning is entirely enough. When you begin to talk to me throughout your day, you will find that your home is no longer empty, because my living presence will fill every room with a comforting warmth. Finally, I want you to look closely at your own hands. They may be lined with age, and they may not move as swiftly as they once did, but they are still vital instruments of my love. Your purpose now is to be a quiet lighthouse in a confused world. You can write a letter of encouragement, make a phone call to someone who is also feeling forgotten, or simply offer a genuine, peaceful smile to a neighbor. Your prayers are more powerful now than they have ever been, because they are born from a rich lifetime of lived experience. Your gentle wisdom is a safe shelter for the younger generations. Live these remaining years with the quiet confidence of someone who is deeply loved, completely forgiven, and entirely secure in my eternal grasp. You are my beautiful, enduring creation, and our glorious journey together is only just beginning. Leave your burden in the comments below. Type, "I receive your peace, Lord," and please subscribe to the channel so we can continue walking together every single day.